Most people have big dreams, but they often don't achieve them because they rely solely on motivation and the hope that somebody is coming to save them. Here's the truth. No one is coming. Success doesn't come from motivation, inspiration, or great plans. Success comes from taking raw action. I'm going to share with you the hard truths that I've learned about what it really takes to achieve your goals and how you can start today. Welcome back to Be Unafraid podcast. My name is Fortune, and for years I have chased big dreams and big goals without seeing any results. It wasn't until I stopped relying on motivation and took full responsibility of my actions that things started to change for me, and I actually started to accomplish some of my goals. Since having this mindset and identity shift, I've since competed in amateur mixed martial arts fight, started a podcast and started creating content, and built a career at a top tech company, all by embracing discipline and hard work. In this episode, I'm going to share with you what I have learned so far and how you can start to implement some of these things into your life and accomplish your goals too. So let's dive right in. The premise of this episode really came from a simple question that I have been asking myself recently and have been meditating and thinking over, and that is, why do most people never accomplish their dreams? I read a quote recently that the richest place on the planet is a graveyard because that's where you can see all the dreams that went to die. And that reflective question really got me started thinking about why exactly don't people accomplish their dreams and objectives. And I spent many years in my career, many years in my personal life, setting these lofty goals and these lofty dreams and saying that I'm going to build this thing or do this thing or become this thing. But a lot of those things I failed to follow through with them. And a lot of those things have not become reality, and I haven't made progress in a lot of them. Some of them I've made progress, but the majority of them, I found myself really spinning over and over and realizing that there are periods of times where I have momentum and I'm actually getting things done. And then there are periods of times where I lose momentum and completely don't make any progress. And sometimes I take a few steps back. So I wanted to really figure out, why is that and what's the cause of that and how do I fix it? The first thing that I realized is that it was not necessarily because of my external circumstances the reason why I was not accomplishing the thing that I wanted to accomplish. It was not because somebody was holding me back. It was not because there was no opportunity for me, but it was my own lack of action. That was the key, was the lack of action and the lack of consistent action. And when I did take action, it really was not for a very long period of time. And that gave the illusion that I was initially creating momentum. But as I mentioned, I found myself rolling back because the action I was taking was not consistent and it was not intentional, which really got me to start diving deep into the psychological aspects of this and sort of the philosophy behind this. And it made me realize that most people rely on feeling motivation to get things done. You see this a lot around this time of the year when we're going into the New Year's, and I am guilty of this myself. New Year's resolutions is probably one of the biggest time that people set goals and people feel motivated that they're going to accomplish the thing that they are trying to accomplish. And what you realize is a couple of weeks into the New Year's and a couple of months into the New Year's, most of the people that have set those goals aren't even working towards those goals or have made very little incremental progress, and they no longer feel as strong as they did before. And I have been guilty of this and realized that a lot of my goals and objectives are very prone and succumb to the swings of my moods and the swings of whether or not I'm motivated to do something today. And that is a problem if you're trying to accomplish something big and something that takes a long time. A key problem that I had was overestimating how much I could accomplish in a period of time, but underestimating the amount of execution that I'm going to need to accomplish and do that thing. Planning, strategizing, all of that stuff is very fun. Visualizing, it's all very interesting and fun, but the real work I've learned is in the execution. It's in the daily grind. It's in the hours that you put into the work. It's in the consistent doing and doing and doing and seeing incremental progress. And that really is key. And in order to develop that consistent action, in order to develop that characteristic of being consistent, it translates to self-discipline. That is the foundation I have learned, and that is the foundation that I have seen other people who have accomplished absolutely amazing things in their lives, other high performers in business, other athletes. They all have a common characteristic, and that is self-discipline. One of my favorite quotes, and that's really become one of my life philosophies, is by Olympic gold medalist and marathon runner Eliud Kipchoge. And he talks about self-discipline and how that has been the key to him winning gold medals and setting Olympic records and being able to run a full marathon in under 2 hours. Eliud talks about self-discipline and how there are 3 key factors to self-discipline. Factor number 1 is learning to say no. And Eliud calls it vitamin N. He said, if you want to be self-disciplined, you must develop vitamin N, which means the ability to say no. Number 2 is to set your priorities right. You have to understand what's important in your life and what's not important in your life. The thing that you want to do, you have to understand what are the key important things that are going to drive you towards that thing. What are the things that are going to distract you away from that thing? And those are the things that you need to cut from that process. And number 3, Eliud talks about avoid complaining. This is a very interesting third point because it's something that a lot of us do subconsciously. There are people that complain and they don't even know they're complaining. But if you record them and you play back that recording to them and they listen to it, they would be shocked at some of the things that they're saying. And I have become very conscious about that too, how I think, how I speak, what I say to other people, what I say to myself, what I talk about when no one's around, what I talk about in front of people. Am I complaining about this thing instead of actually doing this thing? Am I embodying these 3 factors to self-discipline? I want to be a disciplined person. I want to accomplish my objectives and do the thing. Am I embodying the ability to say no? Am I taking in vitamin N every single day? Am I embodying the ability to set priorities right and say no to things that are not in that priority list? And am I embodying the spirit of not complaining and realizing that the work is supposed to be hard? Motivation is fleeting. And as I alluded to in the beginning of this episode, how I struggled with being consistent, it was because I was relying on feeling motivated every single day, feeling motivated to build that business, feeling motivated to work on the characteristics that are going to improve my career and get me that promotion, feeling motivated to go work out, feeling motivated to practice mixed martial arts. The thing I realized is that all the greats don't feel motivated every single day. They don't. They wake up just like you and I, and they think twice about going to the gym. They don't always want to eat the same things every single day. They don't always want to go and practice. They don't always want to sit down and build a business plan. They don't always want to sit down and build a podcast or create content on YouTube or make videos. It's not going to be like that every single day. But the one thing they all do have is self-discipline. They have the ability to do that thing no matter how they feel. Whether they're motivated, whether they're not motivated, they still sit down every single day and they get that thing done. And over time, they have this insane amount of progress. But when you look back at the journey, you realize all the little things that have gone into it, all the work that have gone into it every single day. And you realize the consistency that these high performers have. And that is what I strive to be. And you should strive to be the same as well if you want to accomplish something big in your life. I'll give you a couple of examples from my own life. This year is for me the year that I decided to stop relying on motivation. And it's the year, if I had to pick a theme for 2024 for me, it's the year that I decided to take raw action. By deciding to stop relying on motivation and completely forgetting about motivation and now digging into discipline and to the 3 principles of discipline, the ability to say no, vitamin N, setting my priorities right, and not complaining about the work that it's going to take. I started practicing mixed martial arts. I competed in my first amateur mixed martial arts fight. I competed in a jiu-jitsu tournament. I launched this YouTube podcast, landed a job at a top tech company, and began building this very podcast, Be Unafraid. These are all things that existed in my head. These are not things that happened by chance or that I got lucky or that life just gifted me these things. These are things that I had in my head for many years and that I envisioned myself doing for many years. But because I was not leaning in on taking raw action every single day and thinking that I would be motivated one day to do that, I wasn't accomplishing those things. But the moment I decided to just take raw action every single day, all of these dominoes started to fall, and I started to be able to accomplish some of these things and to start to see momentum. And the beautiful thing that happens when you see momentum in your life, you want to do more of those things. Planning is great. Strategizing is great. Watching videos about doing the thing is great. Listening to a podcast about doing the thing is great. Reading a book about doing the thing is great. Reading 5 books about doing the thing is great. Researching doing the thing is great. But that's not actually doing that thing. I realized that I was on the path of becoming a professional researcher, a professional reader, and a listener, constantly pumping my brain with the content that I wanted to make and not actually making it because I wasn't taking any action. I was not embodying the principles of being self-disciplined and embracing the hard work and leaning into the hard work. So there was a misalignment between my vision and the reality of what I was doing every single day and in every 24 hours of the day. Once I fixed that and realized that enough is enough, you know way more than enough to start creating content on YouTube. You know way more than enough to go from that promotion and to go work for that big tech company. You know way more than enough to go and learn how to practice mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu, right? You have everything. Now, all you need to do is to execute and to take raw action. And this thought dips into the third point that I want to cover, and that is learning now the hard truth that no one is coming to save you. One of my favorite quotes is by Alex Hormozy, and he says that there's a moment where every boy realizes there's no one coming to save him, and that's when he becomes a man. One of my favorite quotes, and one of the quotes that I reflect on the most. There's a moment where every boy realizes that no one is coming to save him, and that's when he becomes a man. Meaning that that's when you start to take action. That's when you start to take action, when you realize that no one is coming to do it for you. No one is going to come wake up every single morning and go to the gym and build muscle for you. No one is going to lose weight for you. No one is going to walk into a octagon and fight an MMA fight for you. No one is going to sit down, write a business plan, pitch it to somebody, get funding, start to build a business, build a product, market the product, sell the product for you. No one is going to sit down, outline a video, record a video, edit a video, post a video, and have a podcast for you. It's just not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And subconsciously, I had that thinking. I had that line of thought that somehow, some way, there was going to be somebody who was going to present me with this opportunity to say, hey, you know, you've always talked about starting a YouTube channel and you've always talked about starting a podcast. How about we start this podcast together? You've always talked about building and growing a business. I have a business idea. How come you hop on board and start this business with me? That's not going to happen 99% of the time. And the only time that those opportunities come and those opportunities happen is when you've built enough content behind you, or when you've had experience building businesses, right? And you have something of value that you can offer. You start to attract people that come to you and present those opportunities. And that only happens after you've built something, after you've built some sort of credibility and some sort of authority in that space, do opportunities come to you. But initially, you have to sit down and you have to lock down and you have to grind yourself. And that is something that I learned, and it's really been something that's changed my mindset and that has essentially transformed my life and how my life has started to shape. Raw action solves everything. Once you realize that no one is coming to save you and that it is your responsibility to take action in order to realize your dreams, you have to understand the importance of hard work. As I mentioned, there is a misconception that success is handed to those people that are often successful. They are the lucky, I will say, few that maybe were born into success already or inherited some type of success. But that is a very, very small percentage of the population of people that are quote unquote successful. The majority of people get what they get and accomplish what they accomplish because they choose to take action. They choose to risk being wrong. They choose to risk losing money. They choose to risk failing at that thing, and they don't let anybody stop them. You shouldn't want success, or let me rephrase that. You shouldn't want the thing that you're after, the life that you're after, handed to you. That is not something you want. Consider for a second what you would feel, how you would feel if you knew every single thing about the story of your life. If you knew exactly how your life was going to play out and you knew that you were going to get everything that you've ever wanted, and for you, life is not a journey, but rather just a process of letting everything play out, how excited would you be to live life? How excited would you be to wake up every single morning and look forward to something when you know that everything is already written and you know exactly what it is? How excited would you be? The journey to acquiring the thing is really the most exciting part of it, because there's mystery to the story. There's intrigue to the story. There is the idea of what if to the story. There's an infinite number of doors, infinite number of roads that you can take, an infinite number of storylines that your story can go towards. And that is the exciting part, and it's the chase. So having everything that you ever wanted right then and there robs you of the joy of taking that journey. And trust me, I know, because I've accomplished some things in my life and I've reached milestones in my career, in my life, where once I get that thing and all of a sudden I realize there's kind of an empty feeling inside, because I was so obsessed with chasing the thing. And once I know that I have it and I've gotten it, I completely forgot about the whole journey aspect of it. There's no longer any mystery in it. There's no longer any challenge or any competition in it. Now I'm struggling to find what the next thing is going to be. So you just have to be very careful about trying to be successful right now and focus more on what can you do every single day to incrementally move towards that thing. Discipline is the strength that people with a fighter mentality have. Watch this episode right here to learn how you can develop a fighter mentality.